Hello, AUpchurch. I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Black Panther movie and kind of work through Baxter's self-authorship theory and kind of walk through what the phases are and how T'Challa kind of experienced this throughout his journey as well too. So I will kind of get into it. I want to talk a little bit about the first phase, which is the following formula. So in the beginning of the movie, we already saw that it was apparent that T'Challa was going to be king and that everybody was going to yield the throne and that no one was going to really fight him. And so I think that's kind of where he had already, as a young prince, he already had all of this in his mind about what would happen and where he would be at what time. And so that's one of the things that I thought was interesting in the movie, that I felt as if he never thought that that wasn't an option for him. I think that he was always nervous to lead and how he was going to lead, but it was always the narrative of leading. So I thought that was interesting. I also felt that other individuals, like his sister, didn't maybe feel like he was ready to lead. And so he may have had that in the back of his mind about what that looked like too. The second phase, which is the crossroad phase, and this is where, individuals process their journey and they discover that it's not necessarily the way that they thought it was. So in T'Challa's experience, I think that he didn't realize how hard it was going to be to lead based on everything that was happening in regards to the scene where they were in the cave area and they were talking a little bit more about what technology was there, what they could use. And I think that it was pretty hard for him to figure out, okay, how can I best, serve the people that are here, with then again, Eric, who then comes into the picture and starts to see a little bit more of that conflict arise as well too. I felt like there was also a conflict with, I think it was Nikita. Nikita, because Nikita, was first when the beginning of the movie first came in, she was with those on a mission, and he came in and tried to rescue her, but she knew that she had the mission under control, and it just then created some conflict there. And so I felt like he was constantly in a position to where he wanted approval. And so that was something. Then when he ended up losing his power, when he lost the fight to Eric, that I think began that phase 3, where he then starts to choose to lead instead of feel like he's forced to lead. And so I thought that was really eye-opening. I think this movie stands for so much more too. I think Marvel did a great job at bringing a lot of historical content into this, and also providing an option for me to step into that space and be like, yes, I felt like T'Challa at some point in my life, to where I was told something, or, at a young age, I'm like, you're going to be a teacher. But what if I don't want to be a teacher? And I constantly feel like I have to prove this to others and not necessarily find it within myself. And so I felt like the minute when he lost his power and Eric then took over the kingdom and wanted to use all the technology for weapons and not use it for the good, I think that's when he realized that there was an opportunity for him to step into a place to where he could believe this and change it, instead of just being told that this was something that he was going to do. So I thought that was a pretty powerful moment for T'Challa in his journey. I think that created even a crossroads too, because then he had to figure out how to still be a leader without, the power that the Black Panther held. Also, so this phase 4, so we kind of went through the following formulas: the crossroads, him becoming the kind of an author of his own life when he did lose the power. And then I also, this internal, so phase 4, internal foundation, it talks a little bit about his belief system. So it talks about how to be at peace with life's decisions, figure out exactly how the changes are made within his life, and then what responsibilities then does he hold towards others. And so I felt like towards the end of the movie, when, he did defeat Eric, he ended up taking Eric to the mountainside and let him see the sunrise. And so I thought that even though, Eric, when he came into it, they really had this conflict to where Eric really wanted just to be accepted and had vengeance towards T'Challa's father and all this stuff. And he put that all aside to do what was right and to take him, to pass peacefully. And so I thought that was really, it really did show that he has a core, a belief system that no matter what it looks like, he will do what's right, even when it's hard. And so I thought that this was a great example of how T'Challa kind of went through also those like 3 questions of like, how do I know who am I, and how is my relationship with others, what that looks like. Because, at a young age, how did he know that he was going to rule? It was always told to him, and, seeking the guidance of his father at a certain other time when he kind of got the powers. That was also very interesting because he wanted validation from his father, but then he saw what happened when his father left Eric pretty much on Earth and left him to be raised without a father. So it was very interesting to see how all of those external influences began to develop kind of more of a crossroads within his own development, but then it also reaffirmed why he was doing this stuff and why he was serving. And so I definitely think that it was a good example of diving into Baxter's self-authorship. And I think a lot of, when I was watching it, I felt like I was really placed in the movie. I could really see myself as T'Challa, making these hard decisions that have been placed on me and feeling like I have to do it, but then also having this other side of, I want to do it. This is a part of me. So, that's kind of all that I really wanted to talk a little bit about. I thought that it was nice to watch the movie from this perspective. Before I was watching the movie, obviously to follow the Marvel comics, but to take a deeper dive into this self-authorship theory was kind of cool because everything that T'Challa went throughout the movie really relates very clearly to this. So I was thankful to kind of see that correlation. I was nervous at first, but I was able to really see how the phases were being developed in T'Challa's life. So, yeah. All right. That's it. Feel free to comment. Happy to talk more.